Hail to the king, baby.
Hello everyone! This is the complete history of the last reality in Fortnite. Before even Chapter 1 of Fortnite, we start with the Cube King, who leaves the last reality, but is captured and imprisoned by the Imagined Order. He escapes not long after and joins the Seven as the Origin. The Cube Queen takes over the last reality and uses her Cube Legion to attack and destroy realities in the Omniverse. The last reality then summons the Storm King and takes over the Save the World universe by causing the storm to wipe out 98% of the world population and turn them into husks. Home base is formed from the survivors and fight back the storm. Now we move to Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 5. A corruption cube was sent by the last reality to the island via a sideways rift. It began rolling and creating runes, and after that made its way into Loot Lake, and it dissolved within the lake, which caused the whole lake to become bouncy, which was fun at the time. Now we move on to Chapter 1 Season 6. The cube raised from Loot Lake, taking a chunk of land with it and exposing the location of the 0 point. During this season, the Cube Island begins travelling above the island and took power from the runes it had created. Then we have the Season 6 event, which we see it returned to Loot Lake and tries to open a portal to the Cube's cradle. After a rough battle, us, the Loopers, eventually overpower the Cube, causing it to explode. Now we move on to Chapter 1 Season 7. The Ice King uses a shard of the Cube, aka Kevin the Cube, and this is used to cover the whole island in snow and also to prevent it from thawing. He also creates Ice Cube monsters, and the Ice Queen leads them. Next we have Chapter 1 Season 8, which we got what we didn't know at the time, but an unearthed last reality abductor, or UFO, which later on, in Season 8, was also used for the unvaulting event. Next we come to Season X, where the scientist uses rift beacons, first at Mega Mall, which reverts it back to Retail Row, but instead fills it with cube monsters. He uses another rift beacon on Fatal Fields. That brings an alternate reality version of Kevin the Cube in a different floating island. Then of course we go on to the Season X end event, where we witness the Seven destroy the Chapter 1 island as a way to prevent the Nothing, aka the last reality, taking over that island. But as the scientist later says, the Nothing is inevitable. Next we move straight on to Chapter 2 Season 1. During Fortnitemares 2019, the centre of the island, which is known as I-Land, was corrupted and turned into the Isle of the Storm by the Storm King and his cube monsters. It was such a great event, always fun, but difficult to take on the Storm King. I hope we get to do this again in Fortnite Battle Royale. Worth noting is during Chapter 2 at Steamy Stacks, which is also known as Kevolution Energy, which is powered by Kevin the Cube. Next we have Chapter 2 Season 6. We see in this season last reality type spires appear around the island, some with a mysterious message on them. These are also protected by last reality spire assassins. We also have a giant center spire. where Raz, who gets corrupted through a Spire artifact, but later on gets eliminated by one of us loopers. Also, during Chapter 2 Season 6, an unknown type of UFO at the time starts randomly abducting players at risky reels, as you can see here. We also get crop circles with the logo of the last reality, which appear at the time at Colossal Crops. Then we move to Chapter 2 Season 7, where the last reality arrives through the Mothership and destroys the Center Spire, which contains 7-member the Foundation at the time. They deploy their troops and sorters while the Mothership starts moving around the island. It first abducts Slurpy Swamp, then Coral Castle, and then finally Corny Complex. Trespassers also take over Holly Hedges and turn it to Holly Hatchery as a place for the alien parasites. Then we go to Chapter 2 Season 7 event, which was Skyfire. Dr. Sloan prepares us as a strike team to infiltrate the Mothership, as the last reality are abducting Corny Complex with us on it. The team goes through the Mothership, avoiding all the trespassers on board, until they are finally locked inside an abduction chamber window room. A corruption cube then rises from the water in the centre of the room and zaps some of the loopers, taking them out. Dr. Sloan shuts it and leaves us, the loopers, to die. After the countermeasure devices are set, which are the backpacks we have on, us, the loopers, reboot the cube, and it activates an elevator, seemingly to help us. We witness a group of cubes that act as a power source of the Mothership, but then Dr. Sloan detonates the bombs, and the Mothership, along with all the cubes, fall onto the Chapter 2 island Apollo. Then straight on to Chapter 2 Season 8, the last reality continue their invasion on the Fortnite island after the events of Operation Skyfire. The cubes have crashed onto the island, along with the Cube Queen and many other different cubes. She brings with her many cube monsters and the caretakers. During these events, sideways anomalies start appearing across the island, converting pure eyes into the sideways, and releasing cube monsters that are led by the cube assassin. The gold cube begins to roll around the island to awaken the other cubes. At this time, Kevin the Cube escapes Steamy Stacks to help out with the golden cube, while our rebooted cube, aka Blevin, stays dormant amongst some trees. After they all reach the aftermath at the centre of the island, they form the Convergence, which later turns into the Pyramid, with the Cube Queen just above it. Then we go straight on to the Chapter 2 end event. We start with our rebooted cube forming a shield over us, then shortly after that, the Cube Queen starts her attack and opens a portal to the cube's cradle. She summons caretakers to defeat the loopers, as well as abduct their weapons through the motherships. The rebooted cube, aka Blevin, zaps and eliminates caretakers, but a golden abductor hovers right above Blevin and destroys it. Golden abductors destroy locations, as the loopers are then saved by the scientist and the visitor. The Cube Queen sends a caretaker underwater to the bridge, which destroys the glass ceiling and floods the place, and then we see Apollo flipping, which reveals the other side of the island, which is Artemis. which stops the last reality taking over the Fortnite island yet again and ruins the Cube Queen's plans. Not a lot happens at the start of Chapter 3 concerning the last reality until we come to the collision event. As loopers, we are destroying asteroids when a piece of an abductor flies past the Mecha Strike Commander. Luckily, the Paradigm swiftly uses evasive maneuvers to pass it by and no damage is caused to us. Now we're on to Chapter 3 Season 4, where the Herald arrives and spreads chrome around the Artemis Island, and it is heavily implied that the Herald is part of the last reality, aka the Nothing. The Nothing announces itself to us in the form of quests for Bytes. Bytes is known by them as the new warrior of the last reality, so the Nothing and the last reality are one of the same. We also have two rifts that have appeared in the sky above Loot Lake. Something is definitely going to come through those at some point. And that is all that is confirmed so far. We will have to wait and see what the last reality, aka the Nothing, have planned for us in the next few weeks. I don't think it will end well for us this time. I've been Agent Draven, and as always, thanks for watching.
Smoke every day.